I suppose it began in my early teens when I started studying in the UK, in the United Kingdom. And it began basically as a result of necessity, the need for books, which every student suffers from. But I realized very early on that due to the very limited budget that I had, that the best option for me would be to actually buy second-hand books. And so it drew me closer and closer to the second-hand book market. And in time, I developed an interest in antiquarian books. And I've been building up a collection of books on Southeast Asia in particular, because that coincides with my domain of research from my university days to the present. I think the biggest challenge that I've faced, and I still face now, is that I began collecting as a student, and I continue to collect as an academic. And neither students or academics are well endowed with cash. So the biggest challenge has been to identify the places and the opportunities where I could have access to important books on Southeast Asia that were still within my budget, and my budget was an extremely tight one. So it's been a long and complicated learning process for me as well, because I had to learn the workings of the antiquarian book trade in the process. But I'm thankful for that. Yes, of course, libraries are extremely important, and particularly in the case of some of my research, which involves history of South Asia and Southeast Asia. And libraries are extremely important because that's where some of these rare texts are to be found. And I think despite the fact that a lot of information is now available online, for a lot of material such as newspapers, documents, letters, much of this material is still found in particular institutions that play this important role of being the preservers and custodians of material history. And I think the library is still a very important part of my life, my work as an academic today. And I spend a lot of my time doing not only field work but also archive work in libraries. There are many libraries in some parts of the world, like in North Africa, for instance, where there's an enormous amount of information available, which has not been digitalized. And I think for scholars in particular, it's a constant race against time to be able to not only collect and preserve these books, but also to preserve them in the long run by digitalizing them. And I think that is an important effort. It's because you're not simply preserving material for future research, but you're actually conserving histories of entire communities and civilizations in the process. So I think this is it's a noble endeavor. Well, for those who have a desire to collect books, I mean, it obviously begins with a genuine love and appreciation for the book itself. I mean, what a book is. And I think despite the fact that we live in an age where a lot of information is now easily available via internet and one can download material, the book is a different object. It's a tangible thing in your hands. And the book shows that knowledge production is a complex process that involves not simply a person writing, but also those who produce the materials required to make a book, to build a book. And book making, for me, is an art. It's an art that we are in danger of losing today, simply because very few people have this tactile, sensate memory of touching a book, feeling a book, and then actually enjoying the experience of leafing through the pages of a book and appreciating the work that went into it. So book collectors obviously value this more because they don't simply read books for their contents, but there's also a love for the book as an object, there's a love for binding, there's a love for ornamentation. And I think to be a good collector requires this deeper sense of appreciation and above all experience. In other words, you can't, this is not something you can learn via the internet. There are no classes that can teach you how to appreciate books and book production. It requires time, energy and effort and discipline and dedication. And I think in time, like the appreciation of good food or music or art. I think it's something that enriches one's life, but also is a learning process, and it's part and parcel of developing a well-rounded personality. So I would strongly encourage young people to go back to the basics, to learn about book binding, to learn about book production, paper production, and to see how all these different crafts have come together to produce this mundane but extraordinary thing called a book.